Hello, my OGs of the Patron and my MMA betting sharks and sharkettes. Thank you for joining me in another private segment of the Patron only, members only special edition. Now, this is going to be, in my opinion, probably, and I would love to hear your thoughts about this as far as what you guys think after listening to the entire segment. Let me tell you from the beginning, right off the bat, this should be something that you guys watch maybe more than once to make sure you've got it all down. This is one of the most important fights of the card. I'm going to explain to you why for many reasons. Number one, the politics. Like, if you are not the this separates the boys from the men. This is going to make you really realize, in case you never did before, what you're paying for to be here. If you're the guy who's paying $100, $50, or $150, you're gonna wonder, why am I not paying more? If there was a $500 tier, I would pay for it, because this information is so invaluable. Nobody, I can guarantee you, not another predictor in the world would ever be able to tell you this stuff I'm gonna tell you, and these are facts. These are stuff that nobody can deny it, and if you don't believe me, I'm going to teach you how you can find that out for yourself, because nobody picks up on this stuff unless somebody who would be able to recognize it can tell them. It's something that the blind eye will miss unless it's trained to see it. So I don't expect anybody you're not stupid or anything for not picking up on these things. It's not natural. The same reason why even guys who are predictors or specialists don't pick them up. It's not normal for them, because they never fought, they never trained, they don't know the politics. This is why I told you the politics are important, the betting aspect is important, the fighting aspect, the training aspect, the hardcore fan. You have to have it all to make this combination work. Okay, let's start with the value. This fight has the most value, even more than the Beneil Dariush fight in a sense. And I told you guys how much value that one has, because he's the rightful favorite and it was a mismatch. For the same reasons, this guy is very underrated on this fight. Usually he's not underrated. They're trying to cover their tracks and make up for what they did in their last fight. Let me tell you, in his last fight against Askarov, mind you, Mr. Askarov is one of the best. He's undefeated. He's a Russian. He's got the potential to be a future champion, okay? Do you know that he lost that fight against Pantoja by a landslide? It wasn't a close fight. It wasn't a robbery like a normal robbery. This was a 30-27. You know why? I'll break it down to you in the science. And the funny thing is, and the commentators, because they did not expect this. Everybody expected it to be a close fight because the guy's undefeated. He is really skilled. I told you, they usually only do this for the people who are deserving of it. They only do this type. They don't do it for the Buckleys usually, unless they find their way of making it into the marketing machine's good graces by doing something wild and crazy, and then they're forced to it. But like the Russian Kamzat, those guys like Khabib's, or this guy, for example, Askarov, they get behind them because they know they're capable of, they have the skill sets to back it up as well and not make them look bad. But nobody expected the fighting spirit, the heart of Pantoja. And look, I picked up on it within 1 minute of the first round. This is going to be a robbery. If you were following me, you would have made a killing. Even the commentator, Michael Bisping, I want you to listen to the commentary, saying, for some reason, they said that Pantoja lost the first round. Let me tell you, the first round was justified maybe 10-8 for Pantoja. In the first 1 minute, one of the most important things that counts, the same as a knockdown. When you knock someone down in a fight, the knockdown rule in boxing is so important for this reason, because the knockdown justifies 10-8 rounds, and it justifies you're winning the round. So you can have a close round or even be losing the majority of it, and then you knock down with a punch an opponent. That's your round now. Not only did he get a knockdown, knocking down his opponent in the fight, and he never got knocked down back himself, so the knockdowns tally were going up in his favor. He 1-0, and then he's got 6 in the first minute of the first round. He made 4 submission attempts, a couple of them pretty good. And in the later rounds, he did a few as well that were very close to... This is a guy who's got 6 out of 8 of his submissions by rear naked choke. He's one of the best at... His specialty is the rear naked choke or a gill. He's very good at it. And do you know why against a guy who was supposed to be the guy who would have won in the decision scorecards? Everybody knew. His trainers were telling him in his language that you need to win. They're giving him the rounds. They're giving him the rounds. So Pantoja made audible, a last-minute call. Like, look, he's not the type that wrestles. Look, he beat Matt Schnell by knocking him out, right? He wins. David Figueiredo, if it was a 5-round fight, would have gotten into a lot. The same way he fought against Brandon Moreno, Figueiredo against Pantoja was having trouble in the later rounds. He was starting to get picked up because Figueiredo's 10 times stronger, 10 times bigger. He doesn't belong in that weight class. It was a mismatch, but they earned fight of the night performance. And it was the same type of a fight Moreno gave Figueiredo, but even better. And mind you, this was a Figueiredo who didn't leave the hospital. This is the Figueiredo at his best. He didn't go into the hospital 24 hours before that. This is Figueiredo at the best we've ever seen him. He went to the decisions. This is a guy who in 30 fights has never been knocked out, never been knocked down hardly, never been submitted. And he's got submissions, 6 or 8 of them. 8 of them on his record. He's got 8 submissions, 8 knockouts. He's the most best rounded guy, but even the fighters love him. Figueiredo showed him so much respect and love after the fight. Even Askarov in the 3rd round, the commentator said, wow, look, he started the 3rd round by giving him a hug. That's how bad. Everybody knew that this was going to be a rivalry coming. You know how you knew? When the fight was over, pick up on these things. You guys got to be smart like me. If you're ever, in case you don't make it into the Patron or something, if anything ever happens, I want you guys to learn from being here by learning on what I know. In the 3rd round, when it started, he gave him a hug from sympathy. Usually people are flustered. You just lost 2 rounds decisively to this guy. Why are you giving him a hug? You're not even showing pressure. You're not showing desperation. And then you know what he did after the fight was over? When everybody would have assumed he lost the fight, he did that thing where you do with the belt. You wrap around your hands around your waist like I'm coming for the belt. This is a guy, mind you, the Russian president who meets with Khabib, who comes to the fights, Dana's best friend. What's his name? Vladimir Pluta. How do you say his name?
Vladimir Putin.
Vladimir. Hey, name girl. You're snoozing over here. I need the names loud and clear.
I know how to say in Portuguese.
Come on.
Vladimir Putin.
Huh?
Vladimir Putin.
Uh-huh. Like Bill Cosby pudding?
No, Putin. Oh. P-U-T-I-N.
The president of Russia, huh?
P-U-T-I-N.
P-U-T-I-N. Putin. Okay? Is a biggest MMA fan. So now they're trying to get on his good graces, but more importantly, the flyweight division was the division that they were talking about shutting down for the longest time. They needed Henry Cejudo to save it, right? So remember all the talks about why TJ Dillashaw was going to save it, Cejudo was going to save it. But everybody was trying to save it because it was the worst money-making division. They were talking about shutting it down because they had no attention. And anytime they try to make a pay-per-view, and that's why I said they were not giving. They made Alex Perez. They don't want a revolving door for the champion. Now that's more exciting. They made him back-to-back 1 month after winning on the same card that the #1 guy Moreno, I told you, would beat would beat Royval. They try to build it up to make it sell because they need that. They need to build a story. They need to create a guy who seems invincible, untouchable, before they start to just make the belt switch around. So, and that's why, they made it a draw and he should have won. They're doing this is the one division that you're gonna see the most corruption in it. So now they got a guy who's coming out of nowhere, a Russian guy, mind you, a friend of the friends of the friends, because this is for more than one reason. He's got an undefeated record. He came in with a lot of hype and expectation. A guy who could be a backup to saving in case Cejudo retires, in case somebody dethrones the current champion, Moreno. Now, because Askarov has wins. Because look, Pantoja has 2 wins over Brandon Moreno. Not just 1, 2. One of them even by submission. The other one unanimous decision. Okay, another thing you guys got to remember, Kape, his opponent, has a loss in Rizin by a guy who Pantoja annihilated. So if you do your MMA math, which doesn't always work, for a lot of reasons, this guy should be. He's the uncrowned #1 contender. He should be the guy fighting for the belt if there wasn't corruption. But let me also, forgetting all that, forgetting that they owe him a favor and they're giving him a guy who's not a natural fighter. Manuel Kape is similar to a Dalcha champion, Langambula, whatever his name is, I told you about, but with better cardio. He's only good and he's only in the UFC because of his one-punch knockout power, which isn't that great because he's not very good at precision. He gets lucky and he's not very, for example, if the way Danger Schnell got knocked out by Pantoja would happen the same exact way to Manuel Kape. Even though he's got a good chin, he's not easy to knock out. If, for example, we did this, let's do this. Let's just tell Manuel Kape and Alejandro Pantoja to 10 times, a series out of 10. Whoever can stand in front of each other and just without blocking, only duking it out, stand in the middle of the octagon and exchange wild punches, which is what he did with Schnell, that ended up making Schnell get the worst end of the exchanges and ends up getting knocked out. That same thing, if he did that with Manuel Kape, who's the stronger hitter technically, Manuel Kape will lose that battle 9 out of 10 times. You know why? Pay attention to what I said Royval was going to do against Moreno. Moreno, when he punches, remember I told you the hardest part of your body, the thing that saved me in my motorcycle accident? I got 16 stitches, 11 staples. They had to sew my head together and staple it together. My brain was bleeding because I blocked my fall and he blocks his punches with the top of his head. The skull is the strongest part of your human body. If you could break someone's hand easier than you could break your skull. It's the hardest bone and area of your body. So if you're ever going to take a punch, remember I gave you a tip in an older video, if somebody's messing with you and you have to make sure that they give you the first hit so you don't go to jail, you want to tell them, hey, you give me your best shot first. When they do that, you put your head down, they're going to hit you. You're not only will you not feel it, it's like the thing on your earlobe. You can pinch as hard as you can, or at the end of you won't feel it. You will not feel it. You won't get dizzy, you won't bleed, and you'll hurt your opponent's hand. If they hit you hard enough, there's a reason why boxers have to use 12 ounces of wraps around their wrists. They cannot take a punch like that in a place like that. For that reason, in areas like that, you'll break your wrists if you hit hard enough and the guy times it perfectly. And let me tell you something about Pantoja. Before his 2 losses most recently, which one of them was a robbery and the other one was against, Figueiredo, the current champ. There's no shame in that one. That was a real loss. But he held a good account. He gave himself Fight of the Night bonus. It showed his warrior spirit, his heart, his pace. And the only reason the value is so good, not just because he's coming off of a loss and 2 losses out of his last 3, which looks even worse, which is the only reason he's not a -500 favorite like he should be, because this is a mismatch in every different area. But let me also remind you, as far as striking ratio, he had the best striking ratio in the entire UFC flyweight roster. #1 by a landslide, not even Figueiredo. Nobody had, before his losses, he had the highest, best striking ratio ever. And there's a reason. He's got good reflexes. He's got good pace. He doesn't get tired. This whole myth and rumor about him having bad cardio is because he knew, his trainers, everybody, the commentators knew, I knew that he was going to get robbed against Askarov, who's undefeated, and the Russian kid was going to be the one who gets the nod at the end. He knew that. So why do you think for the first time in his career we ever saw, in the first 1.5 minutes, in the first minute and 10 seconds of the first round, he had 5 submission attempts already. He fought in Askarov's world. That's not his style. That's the most taxing, hardest way to fight. He was so desperate to get a finish because he knew when he needed it. He looked like, even in the 3rd round, he wasn't that bad, actually. He still was winning the round. He won all 3 rounds. He should have won regardless, but that shows that even when he's fighting that style that he's not used to, that's not his normal style, he still has good cardio. He's not going to fade away when he's fighting his normal style especially. So that's not a problem. I wouldn't mind seeing him in even a 5-round fight. I wouldn't worry about his cardio typically. Now, Manuel Kape, He's a guy, this will teach you, this is another observation no other guru would ever be able to tell you unless they fought. You know what I picked up on him? Not only is he the type that does that real sloppy punches, they're loopy, they're not precise, he doesn't throw them correctly, so they don't land with as much ill intention, as opposed to a guy like Pantoja, who doesn't just do it beautifully by putting his head down, which is something that Cody Stamen doesn't do. He does the opposite, which is why I say he's very easy to give an uppercut to. He's very bad. This guy puts his head perfect position when he's throwing punches. So he's using it in a way, so he's being defensive while being offensive. But his punches are so beautifully thrown and in the middle. They're going straight down the middle pipe and they're not looped, so they're effective. That's why he was able to knock Schnell out so easily and nicely. And Schnell's a great fighter. You see what he did to Tyson Nam. We had money on him as an underdog, and it paid off for us, right? He outclassed him. He was number 1 ranked in the Ultimate Fighter show on Cejudo's team. He was the number 1. He beat guys like Kai Kara France unanimously. We've seen how good he is. He's the guy who works out with Israel Adesanya's team. He's been doing very good as of recent. So he's made him look bad. He's made a guy who beat Kamel in Rizin, one of the best fighters in Rizin, top 3 fighters who beat this guy Kape. He annihilated him. And so this just levels to this, and this guy's on a different level. He's got the better fighting spirit, the better cardio, the better wrestling, better submission game, better sprawl and brawl. If he takes your back, forget about it. This guy's back control, you're not kidding. If he doesn't submit you, you're not getting back up. He's going to be the way more high level and better in every area it goes. And a guy who's never been knocked out against some of the best fighters, knockout artists even, is not going to probably get knocked out in this fight. The UFC is making it up to him. They know they screwed him badly. They're giving him a guy who's got a scary reputation, who looks scary, who's got a pretty decent record, was a champion in Invictus, was a champion in Rizin and 2 other small organizations. He's been a champion in 4 organizations. He's won performance and fight of the night bonuses, so he looks good on his resume. If he beats this guy, a lot of people are... I don't think any other guru besides myself has probably even picked Pantoja. A lot of people are counting him out, and they're even thinking he's going to get knocked out. But this is his fight to lose. I don't see him losing it in any different way possible. He's going to be the better man. And for the political reasons, the outside the ring circumstances, and you even saw, like, at the end of the decision, I'm telling you, I want you guys to go back. He didn't even wait for the decision. He was ready. He left. And the guy who was doing the belt thing, who should have been most concerned, who should have been nervous, was so smiley and happy. And this guy just got knocked down, almost submitted like 7 times. And the commentators were even saying he's going to need to do something. He's going to need to do something. But you're the only one that's smiling and doing this as if you knew you were going to get the win? Come on, man. You think I was born yesterday? It was so apparent. It was so... A blind man could have seen it coming, but everybody knew it. He walked away so frustrated, and that's why he gave him a hug in the beginning of the 3rd round. Everybody likes Pantoja, man. He's such a good guy. He's a good, exciting fighter. And also another advantage, Manuel Kape, a lot of people don't know this. He speaks Portuguese. He's born in Portugal. Portuguese language is also what Brazilians speak. So the stuff that the coaching are going to be able to tell... Kape is not a good IQ fighter. He's got very bad IQ. One thing I learned about him when he does his switch stance, you could tell he's not a natural good fighter. Everything he does is stuff that he tries to copy or he learned how to do from somebody. It's not natural, so he's very slow. He depends. You'll notice he looks to his corner. His corner is the loudest person in the room. If it was a full stadium with 10,000 million people jam-packed, you're still going to hear his coaches. They know from the beginning till the end, non-stop, they have to scream what to do, and he doesn't take his eyes off of them. And that's usually going to work when you're speaking to somebody who's a Mexican fighter, a black, a white, Chinese fighter. It'll help. But this guy's Portuguese. I mean, he speaks Portuguese. So everything his coaches are going to tell him to do, his team is going to already be one step ahead of it. So now he's fighting on his own. That's a big factor right there. Nobody is going to realize that. This is the invaluable stuff that you pay. If you're on the $50 tier, this is why you need to upgrade to the $150 tier. If you're on the $10 tier, You could have made your money back if you paid the $150 today in one day. Look at the comments on YouTube. Look at the comments on Twitter. The comments in the Patron. Everybody makes their money back in one tip. I'll give you one parlay. I'll even give you a money back guarantee on it. You'll make it. If you don't be greedy and just take the safest picks, you have to put enough money on it. Obviously, you got to put like 100, whatever to make it. But if you put enough money, I'll give you a 2 or 3 leg parlay, guaranteed to cash in, and prop bets. So you know what? I don't like to do this. I'm only going to do this. I'm going to open this segment up for the public. I'm going to do a special. I'm going to do a special just to get people to understand the valuable stuff that we're going to get. So there's 10 more fights we're going to break down. The rest of them are obviously going to be private segments. So, but just to give you a special, if it's a money back guarantee, you'll get your membership costs back if 2 guys don't, for 1 month only, not forever. Obviously, you can still stay as a member or whatever, but you don't have to cancel or nothing. But if these 2 people don't cash in, I'm going to give you a 2-leg parlay. If these 2 don't win, you get your money back guarantee for the membership for the 1 month. All right, guys. So that's special I'm going to give you. So I'm going to open this up to the public. You guys got my pick. What else is there to talk about before I let you go? Oh yeah, another thing that reminded me, like we have a guy coming up, Dustin Jacoby. I want you to get ahead of the line movement. He's going to be fighting against Grisham. They have him as a small favorite. The lines have not moved much. So if you want to get him closer to fight night, this is a guy who's had a resurgence. He used to be in the UFC. He went to do some kickboxing. He revamped his entire career. He fixed the holes in his game, and he came back new and improved. And he looked so good in his last fight. They're not still giving him the credit, and because of recency bias, due to a guy who's lost like 28 out of 29 of his fights in the first round, Maxim Grisham beat him in Antagulov in like the first or the second round, that was a fight that ended 2 seconds left in the last seconds of the second round. The referee stopped the fight, and I had him winning within the first 1 or 2 rounds. In 3 more seconds, if he did not win, I would have lost my prop bet, and it was paying plus money. So that was a fight I remember. But anyway, he's going to be fighting against Dustin Jacoby. I'm just giving you guys a heads up. That fight's coming up in about a month or 2. You guys want to beat the lines and take advantage of Dustin Jacoby, to be the victorious winner. It'll probably not be by finish. I can see this going on the over rounds, but so just still lock him in as a money line, or you can put him in some parlays. He's parlay worthy. And so is Alejandro Pantoja. How do you say that name? Pantoja. And how do you say his opponent's name? Manel Kape. Manel Kape. They call him Starboy. His nickname is Starboy, if I'm not mistaken. So we have Alexander. He's just like, they're almost at pick'ems right now. He opened up as a -120. Do you guys remember? He was a -250 favorite against Matt Schnell. Matt Danger Schnell, the guy who's got a sick ground game, sick stand-up striking, very high level. He was a -250 favorite over Danger Schnell, who we've seen as an underdog just win against Tyson Snean. How are you going to tell me that after what he did and how he showed, what a good account of himself he held even against the champ Figueiredo, who's a way bigger, stronger guy, shouldn't even be in that weight class. Now you're going to put him as a pick'em -120 favorite, so you're pretty much getting double your money back. There's a lot of value for, and that's why I told you sometimes the best parlay pieces are guys who are not the biggest favorites. Unlike the Koski, who I told you I didn't even make him in one parlay, but he was so. But hey, this guy Kape is not a naturally good fighter. He depends on his athleticism, his trainers. The reason why he does switch stance a lot is because he leads heavy on his leg. His lead leg gets chewed up. He makes so many mistakes offensively and defensively, and he fights like that's how you know he just copies people. When he switches his stance, he fights like a completely different. He doesn't even have his own style. Everything he does is something he picked up from somebody else in training. He doesn't have his own way. He's the type that just fights for the sake of fighting for a career. It's not something he's naturally good at. He's not unlike the Pantoja, who's got an advantage in that realm alone, is a huge advantage. When it comes down to just because 1 second could be 1 second too late. In the fight game, you can't afford to have to think about what you're going to do. It's got to be natural. It's got to be reflexes. It's got to be a natural talent and ability. You don't have to, especially if you're going to have to depend on a coach who's going to tell you to do something that the opponent's going to know what it is. I don't see how he's going to have any success anywhere. This is a guy who got tapped out by a guy who lost against a guy who Pantoja beat. A guy who he lost against. 2 guys that he lost against. Pantoja beat one of them and beat the guy who beat that guy. So trust me, for every reason, from the stats to the research to the MMA math to the politics and to just the styles, every reason, the rightful favorite, win, lose, or draw, the smarter play, especially for the value, is Pantoja. And that's what I can promise you. Nobody's ever going to be 100% right, but I'm going to be 100% right when it comes to making the right play. We'll not always have 100% accuracy, but we get close to it. You saw yesterday's results. I didn't get more than 1 wrong. And all my parlay pieces, the ones I told you were my top 3, top 2, top 5, cashed in at 100% rate. So anybody who just took those pieces, my outside UFC, outside MMA, today alone I gave 4 NBA plays. All of them cashed in so far. 3 or 4, whatever they were, 100% even in my NBA plays. So if you can't find, I warned you guys, if there's ever risks, I tell you beforehand, this is not most confident, this is risky, this is, I have to depend on this. Look if Mitchell is going to be in the game or not. If Mitchell is not going to be playing for the Jazz, don't go too in on him because the Nuggets are a good team. So I do my research everywhere it goes, guys. Thank you for your time. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. More importantly, leave a comment. If you don't leave a comment, it doesn't do me as much good. So if you can show some appreciation, because this is a segment I'm not supposed to be given for anybody besides this private Patron, but because I'm giving a special out, that's money back guarantee. And if you join, you get the full month because the month's just started. If you get, they'll charge you for next month, and you'll get this day included. So they're not going to charge you for next month again. You're only going to get charged 1 time, and you get a full 31 days. It's the beginning of the month cycle, so you get a full 32 days instead of 31 days. This is the best time to make your subscription to my channel and to my Patreon. The link is going to be in the description. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, hit the reminders, because these are time sensitive, guys. Thank you for everything. Please don't forget to leave a comment. Let me make sure I didn't forget anything. Yeah, so Manuel Kape, number 80, born to a 3-fight win streak. Let's see, what else can I tell you? He's got he's only won 1 time by decision. So a guy who's the more likely favorite in a decision, especially when the UFC owes him one, is going to be Kape. Is only, like I said, he's similar to a Dalchuk, similar to like a Alonzo Menfield, similar to maybe like a Jared Cannonier. These guys need, most of the time, if they don't get a knockout, they're not going to win the decisions. So a guy who's never been knocked out in his career, Pantoja, you don't want to bet against him in this spot. This is a good spot for him, especially for the value. I do even see him possibly getting a late submission, because the guy's sloppy. You know what he did in his last fight, Kape? Pay attention to it. People missed this. I'm sure nobody caught this. While in that fight where he got submitted in Rizin against one of the best Rizin fighters, who lost against the guy who Pantoja beat, by the way, that I told you about, while he was getting dominated on the floor, he kissed him on his cheeks. He gave him a real kiss. And he does stuff like he sticks his tongue out and he gets punched. He does that showboating stuff that only if you don't have Muhammad Ali skills, if you're not winning the fight, you should not be doing that. He's not disciplined. He's not a real fighter. So I don't trust him for many reasons. He doesn't take his career serious. He doesn't do much. And he got his black belt he went from purple to black belt overnight. It's not even a real black belt. The guy who gave it to him, a Brazilian guy, I've never even heard of him. I don't know who he is, but I don't think it's a reality. I wouldn't be surprised if he paid for it. And he's trained. I like that he trained in a PI center, but he doesn't train properly. He doesn't train with the better athletes like Pantoja. Pantoja's got the better regiment, the better team, the better experience, the better fight competition, the better skill set, the better everything, man. And I can't believe he's not a huge favorite, at least a moderate favorite, like he was in the Schnell fight. I'm shocked. But this is how they try to pull the wool over your eyes. I told you, it's usually the underdogs, like the Darush, who's an underdog now, who are the best parlay pieces. All right, guys, there's so many more private videos being put in and already put into the... I have a couple that you guys didn't get it already in the Patreon, and there's more coming just today. Every day I'm going to be loading 2 or 3 private segments so we can get ahead of the line movement. By the time I'm done, because I just started doing it full time, you guys are going to have 2 months ahead of scheduled fights already in the prediction. So you can always, that alone can save you thousands of dollars by beating the line movement every month. You're going to save thousands of dollars. That'll pay its membership off by itself. And there's an open line of communication 24 hours a day. I get live notifications if you message me, if you make a message on one of the posts or a question, and you can also discuss things amongst each other. It's a nice community of sharp-minded people like ourselves who are going to always make sure if we miss anything, they help us and contribute in our success. So that's invaluable stuff as well. We're growing rapidly. We have over 100 members already. So can you imagine where we're going to be soon? This is the time to join before sponsors and people get in, because you know there's other guys, like I don't want to mention their names, they charge $400 a month for what I do on my ultimate package when you get more than one sport. $400 a month. 300, 400, and they don't have nearly as much as an accuracy as I do. So you're getting good value, and you're going to get grandfathered in. I'll never raise the prices on people who are original members. And thank you for your time. I also started rebuilding. I'm paying somebody, a professional, to revamp my Instagram. So we're going to be doing daily Instagram posts that are like stories. Every day you're going to get a story, a little betting tip, some picks, some parlay pieces. Just every day you're going to get some clips and new videos, stuff that... So follow me on my Instagram. What is the Instagram?
It's at Fighting Guru 5.
At Fighting Guru 5, number 5. So please, if you haven't already, join me there. My Twitter also has valuable information. Like, for example, I warned everybody about Buckley. I warned everybody about the Schnell fight. I gave some very good pieces of information that would have saved you a lot of money if you followed me on Twitter before the fights even started. Phil Hawes, I told you he did not look good at the scales. The next day they removed him off the card, so you would have saved money instead of betting him. Imagine if they didn't remove him off the card and he still fought, because he didn't pull out. He still wanted his paycheck. He was willing to fight. Nobody else caught that. Not even, no other shows gave you that Phil Hawes did not look good at the scales like I observed. And then if he had fought, because the doctors didn't clear him, the UFC doctors that are supposed to give you a physical before they can let you fight, they didn't clear him, or else he would have fought. He tried to fight, just like Cain Velasquez. That time before they pulled him off, he tried to pass the test. They didn't let him. He did the same thing. So thank you guys for your time. Oh, sorry. Let me just make sure, because I go off my head, man. I don't go off of paper. This is all from my heart, my head. So I just want to make sure I didn't miss anything, because I do take notes. All right, so Alejandro, he's unlike Manel Kape, who's ranked number 80. Alejandro's ranked number 4 as number 4 top flyweights in the world or in the UFC as well. Striking is good. His light strikes per minute. His record is impressive. 22 wins. And mind you, some of those losses were either robberies, or one of them was at least. And the other ones, he held a very good account of himself. He's never been knocked out or submitted. But 22-5 is a good record. I love when it's well-rounded. 8 wins by submission. 8 wins by knockout. So you know he can take it anywhere. Dominating a guy and getting the better of the exchanges against a guy like Askarov, who's one of the best on the ground. That was impressive, guys. So even in his losses, he gained stocks. In my book, he gained points. It didn't go down. He went up, his stocks. All right, guys. So what else? Yeah, he's got a great chin, too. Did you see that punch that Matt Schnell landed on him? He shook it off and like it was nothing, and he kept coming back forward. So he's got a good chin, and that's going to be important in this fight. He's got a very, very good chin. And that's why he doesn't ever get enough. Even elbows and stuff, I've seen him eat from Figueiredo that most people he would have put out. Figueiredo's got the best knockout ratio punch strike to knockout ratio in the entire UFC, not just that division. Figueiredo has that best ratio, and he went all 3 or 5 rounds eating punches like that without getting even dropped. So that says a lot. It's a very important thing to remember here. All right, thank you. Please hit the like, hit the subscribe, but make a comment. Even if it's, I hate your guts, I wish you died, I don't care. Just leave a comment, hit the likes, hit the subscribes, and don't forget to join me on my next next segment, and hit the Patron. There's a special going on. You can ask about it if you want, but I'm going to give you a 2-leg parlay, and you can win your money back. And if you don't cash it in and you want to cancel, you get even your money back guaranteed for it. Thank you guys. I appreciate your. No, don't forget Fighting Guru at Twitter, at Fighting Guru on Twitter. I'll put it in the descriptions, but it's with 1 G, FIGHTINGURU, only 1 G in between Fighting Guru, and no numbers, no letters. That's just Fighting Guru, at Fighting Guru for Twitter. And then on Instagram, which is most important, I need you guys to start going and liking me or following me there, because I'm going to put a lot of valuable information there as well. It's at Fighting Guru, same spelling, but with the number 5 after it. All right, and I also have a Facebook, but that's not as active. I use it to contact and just research on fighters and stuff. But we have a good interview coming up soon as well. So if you like interviews and you don't care about betting as much, but you just are an MMA fan and you want to get insight about like how fighters are planning on winning their fights, which helps in prop bets, join the channel, and you'll see a lot more interviews coming, like the one we just had with Miranda Maverick and Justin from Bellator's new rising star. All right, guys, thank you for your time. See you on the next video.